Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of the Journey with Me podcast, where the journey is greater than the destination. I, of course, am your host, Holly Harris, your journey girl, helping you to manage the middle. And first of all, welcome again. Thank you to all my new subscribers, right? I know my channel is in the beginning stages, but the Word of God says to not despise the day of small beginnings. And so I'm grateful for every person that decides that something that I said is significant enough for them to click subscribe. So thank you so much again for being a part of my channel and what I'm trying to build. Actually, I've been doing this for a while, but I just recently began doing YouTube videos not too long ago. So if you go to the Audible side of podcasts, whether it be Apple, whether it be Spotify, you will see episodes going back years. Okay, so I definitely have been doing this for a while, but again, I just recently, transferred over to YouTube. It is my desire to transfer all of the episodes that I did audibly over to YouTube, but that's going to take some time because, like I said, again, we're talking a few years here, so that'll be a minute. So if you want to listen to previous episodes that are not yet on YouTube, definitely go and subscribe audibly wherever you get your podcast to listen. Okay. All right, but again, thank you and welcome to another hopefully great episode. For you, I try to make every episode as great as I can. So again, thank you for joining me. And in honor of Black History Month, I wanted to do something that I feel like is timely because of the climate that we find ourselves in. And I wanted to talk about heritage, and in particular, why our heritage matters. And this is not just for Black people, it's for, white, Hispanic, whatever nationality you may be. You will be able to appreciate this episode. So I wanted to talk about again why heritage matters. And so one of the reasons why I wanted to do this was because, again, it's Black History Month, but also I wanted to do something that I have been wanting to do for a very, very long time. But every time I thought about starting it, it felt too daunting. It felt overwhelming because I didn't have a lot of information. And that is researching my family tree, like really tracing back my family lineage as far as I could take it. But again, every time I thought about doing it, it was like, oh my goodness, where do I begin? Because I just, quite frankly, don't have a lot of information. I grew up in a family that wasn't very close to their siblings and so on and so forth. And so as a result, I didn't grow up, at grandma's house every day or hanging out with my aunts and uncles, or I didn't grow up like how a lot of people may have grown up because it just wasn't like that. I only remember going to maybe one family reunion in my lifetime, right? I don't know any of my cousins. I don't know. And so it's a lot of gaps. And so, my mom is no longer living. My grandmother's no longer living. Her father is no longer living. Everyone in my dad's family is passed, and he's the only one left. So literally, there's not too many people I could ask information from. I got as much information as I could from my father, but he doesn't know everything either. And so there are a lot of, like I said, bits and pieces that I have to work with to try to pull this thing together. But I have decided that I am going to go all the way this time, right? So I've already started and I've gotten pretty far. And with every piece that I find, I am like, it's making me feel more and more secure the more I know about, those who came before me. Right. And so, and actually, I find it interesting too, as well, finding out, where I came from, the totality of it all. maybe even finding out some stories about who they were, what they did, what they contributed to the world. And so I'm on that journey, and it is my hope that it doesn't take forever, right, to do this. And I know most people, just submit their DNA to ancestry.com and they're done with it. They get their results back and that's it. But I kind of wanted to go on a journey to where I did a lot of the research myself, right? Not saying I won't, just go that route if I hit a brick wall, but I wanted to do a lot of the research on my own. And then once I compiled everything, be able to share it with my family, right? And so that's the journey that I'm on. And so it is my hope to come back to you later on this year, hopefully, having completed this and sharing some of my results with you all, right? And maybe you want to go on the journey with me. Maybe you grew up in a family where you didn't get a chance to learn a lot about the people who came before you, and you desire the same thing, right? I'll share, some of the resources that I utilized with you, and some ways to help you do your own search. So we can go on this journey together. But again, that was the other reason why I wanted to do this episode, because I truly believe, that our heritage matters. And of course, we are being faced with different ideologies today that would tell us to disown our heritage or to throw it away altogether, that it does not matter, right? But it does matter. And so I wanted to talk about some of the reasons why it does matter. But again, we have different ideologies running around, even to the point of desiring to know more about your heritage being equated with idolatry. Right? It's like, and there are some who are idolizing their heritage, who are idolizing their race on both sides, right? But there is a way where you can maintain balance and not get to a place to where it's an idol, but that it's something that you do appreciate, right? It's nothing wrong with appreciating who you are and where you came from. So again, I wanted to talk about why heritage matters. And when I talk about heritage, just to define it for you, it refers to the traditions, the values, the objects, the places, and the culture that are passed down from previous generations to the present. And when we think about cultural heritage, we're talking about the traditions, the language, the art, the music, the food, and the customs that define a group of people, right? So, like when you think about soul food, being something that we identify, as African Americans, and, so on and so forth. Italian cuisine, from Italy, and, different things of that nature. And so again, I wanted to talk about why heritage matters. And so basically what I did to compile this information quickly was, I just asked ChatGPT, hey, why does heritage matters? And this is what it said it brought up. And I thought it was some great points. I wanted to kind of go through because I thought it was really good the way it kind of compiled this together as to why heritage matters. Number one, identity and sense of belonging, right? That's a no-brainer that we get some of our identity from our heritage, right? It says your heritage connects you to a larger story, family traditions, language, culture, and shared history. That connection can, number one, build confidence and self-understanding. It provides a sense of rootedness, and it helps answer the question, where do I come from? So, right, so that those 3 points underneath identity and sense of belonging are very crucial to one understanding who they are, having a self-understanding, having confidence, because when you're rooted in something, confidence comes with that rooting of knowing, hey, this is who I am, this is where I came from. Right? And so that was number one. Number two is preserving history and lessons, right? It says heritage carries collective memory, achievements, struggles, traditions, and mistakes. Preserving it helps societies learn from the past, avoid repeating errors, and appreciate progress. What is the old saying goes? Those who forget their history are doomed to repeat it. Well, it's true, right? When we honor our heritage, the heritage of this nation, even when it's painful, we learn from it, we avoid repeating those errors, and we're able to see how far we have progressed, right? But we have seen a steady move backwards. The more and more things are removed, the more we're seeing people be more emboldened to be hateful. When it used to be shameful to be hateful, but now people are bold about it and they make no apologies for it. And it's because we're trying to stomp out certain parts of history that have been painful. And the more we remove, the more we regress back to that place. And so it's important to preserve heritage for those reasons, right? The number three reason heritage matters is for cultural diversity and understanding, right? It says heritage enriches the world. Food, music, art, architecture, and tradition from different cultures make society vibrant. When people understand each other's heritage, it reduces prejudice, it builds empathy, and encourages collaboration, right? And so there becomes this appreciation for the differences, and then there is that desire to collaborate, right? Because where you're weak, I'm strong. Where you're strong, I'm weak. And so when we come together, we make the world better together. But when there is this complete washing out of heritage and this robotic desire for us all to be the same, then there is nothing to appreciate. The world goes cold. It's no longer vibrant. That's what makes the world turn. It's the vibrancy, it's the differences coming together. So again, that number three reason was cultural diversity and understanding. The number four reason was for family continuation, right? So it says family stories, recipes, rituals, and even surnames carry emotional meanings. They connect generations, honor your ancestors, and give younger generations a foundation. And I know that whole honoring the ancestors, can make some African Americans that are Christian squeamish, because that can take on a negative connotation, because many in our community have, left the faith and are choosing just to honor, quote unquote, the ancestors, which has kind of turned into idolatry and so on and so forth. But I'm not talking about that type of honor, the ancestors. I'm talking about just understanding your heritage and honoring them, but not in a worshipy type of way, right? And so, but it's important for family continuation in order to connect generations, honor ancestors, and give the younger generation a foundation. So, in order for that younger generation to move forward, they need to know their foundation. They need to know what they're springing off from, right? So the fifth reason that heritage matters is for personal growth and perspective, right? Understanding your heritage can clarify your values. It can strengthen resilience, because when you know what those behind you have gone through to get to this point, it strengthens your resilience. Like if they were able to make it through that, and those are the shoulders that I'm standing on, then how much more am I able to do, given that I have more resources? So it strengthens your resilience. And because of the knowledge of that, right, it inspires pride, and not in a negative way, right? Not in a worshipy way, pride, but just that sense of self and knowing and confidence and reflection. And so those are the five reasons why heritage matters: for identity and sense of belonging, for preserving history and lessons, for cultural diversity and understanding, for family continuation, and for personal growth and perspective. And not only does heritage matter from a natural perspective, right? Those are natural ways or reasons, why heritage matters and how they can benefit you. But when we look at heritage from a spiritual perspective, right? Heritage mattered to God. Yeah, many times you would see in scripture house of, like for example, house of Saul, house of David, and most times you would see house of David, son of such and such. So it gave like a more detailed breakdown of who this person actually was directly connected to in the family line, as well as what house they belonged to. So even we see God do this, right? When it comes to him establishing a spiritual lineage here on earth. In Exodus chapter 3, verse 5 through 6, it says, God said, do not come near. Put your shoes off your feet, for the place on which you stand is holy ground. Also, he said, I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And then it says, and Moses hid his face, for he was afraid to look at God. And of course, this is when, the burning bush incident, right? And so we see here God attached his name to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob. He's establishing a spiritual lineage on earth. And it started with these three, right? And so he shows heritage through associating his name with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So even God shows the importance of heritage. He shows the importance of lineage. And even Jesus in Matthew chapter 1, they list the genealogy of Jesus Christ. And although Joseph didn't have any direct connection to the birth of Jesus Christ, he is mentioned that his lineage is used when it comes to describing the genealogy of Jesus. Right? Because Jesus, of course, he was born through immaculate conception. There was a seed just placed in Mary, and Joseph literally had nothing to do with it, but his lineage was included. The genealogy of Jesus Christ went through his lineage. Right. And so that just shows how important heritage is to God, right? That he included it when it came to him establishing a spiritual lineage on the earth, as well as him allowing Jesus to come through Joseph's line. So it's really fascinating when you see even God show how important knowing who you are and knowing where you came from is, both in the natural as well as in the spiritual. And so, again, it's important that we know who we are. It's important that we desire to know who we are, that we don't just walk through life not knowing, right? And not knowing who was past our grandparents or who was, and, especially for us, like I said, as African Americans, because we did lose a big chunk of our history, it is important for us to at least try to want to navigate and see where our lineage goes or where our lineage derived. And so again, I'm going to be on this journey. I hope you'll go on it with me. And like I said, I will give progress reports periodically to let you know how far I've gone and, share some of the resources on how I was able to uncover the information I was able to uncover, share it with you to help you on your journey as well. So I'm excited. I've already learned things that I didn't know before I started this journey, and everything I find out, I'm like, oh, wow. And even when I find certain things online, I'm like, oh, shoot, I think I found something. And it makes me so excited. And at the same time, it's almost like a piece that was missing is coming back together. I don't know how to explain it, but that's what's happening as I'm going on this journey. So again, I am going to be sharing it with you. And yeah, so that's it. That's all I wanted to share today. I hope it was a blessing to you. Definitely, if you have not already, hit that subscribe button, do it so that you can be notified anytime I drop a video. So yeah, hit that subscribe button as well as that notification bell. Or if you're listening to me audibly, definitely hit that subscribe button there, as well as rate the show, because if you rate the show, give me a good rating, then it'll maybe pushed up in the ranking so other people can hear the same content that you are receiving. Definitely don't forget to go and like me on social media. I am at Journey with Me Podcast on Facebook and at Journey with Me Pod on Instagram. All right. And I think that's it. So, again, thank you for hanging out with me. God bless you. And until next time, peace.